My Pixel 6 friends, how are we doing? And the video will be titled Final Thoughts, but of course there's nothing final about the Pixel 6. It's still going to be supported for quite some time after. It's still going to be receiving a couple of new major upgrades of Android after this, some of which will be covered right here on this channel on this device. So there's nothing final about this, but in terms of it being the flagship of the Google fleet, along with the Pixel 6 Pro, it's in its last couple of days before the Pixel 7 and Pixel 7 Pro take over. I was hoping the Pixel 7 Pro would have been here already, so I could have kind of guided people along in their pre-order experience, but not quite. It's coming tomorrow with release day the day after. I'll do my best to get my thoughts out there quick, but they left us a lot of time to... I gotta be nice. I want Team Pixel now. I gotta be nice. I don't want Google sending along the re-education PowerPoint presentation. I heard it's rough. So the Pixel 6, how did we fare after a year? Up and down for sure. It's something that you hear all the time. It's a cliche. First impressions matter, but they do matter. Especially, like with anything in life, if you have an experience at the beginning where things aren't quite smooth, your brain goes into this mode. There's a switch that then you start to look for other things. And soon enough, every little thing that you notice with the device is a problem, and you highlight all of them. When the experience from the beginning is mostly smooth, there aren't UI difficulties, there aren't difficulties getting into the phone. If the first month of the device is pretty good, then your brain forgives things that come in a little bit later. Little hiccup a month down the line, a little late on an update, 6 weeks late on an update, 2 months late on an update. Not an issue, not the end of the world if things are running well. But when you start off on the wrong foot, it just continues all the way through the life of the device. And that's what I think Google learned with the Pixel 6 because of those issues with the UI at first, with first-party apps like YouTube misbehaving horribly at first, like the fingerprint sensor having issues. I think it wasn't an exaggeration saying it was about 50% of the time the thing would work, and that's just unacceptable. And the disappointment there was, from the start, that this was hyped up and the feature set that was given to us for the Pixel 6 were phenomenal. I was expecting this to be the device that carried me through all the rest of the end of last year. And it wasn't, because I got frustrated, and by the time January came around and they were still futzing around with the update a little bit, I put my SIM in the S22 Ultra and I saw no reason to go back. Until the summer. Until the Android 13 beta came on this. And then we unleashed the full potential of the Pixel 6. And what potential it was. A fantastic performing device. A wonderful value, which is still going to go down regardless of all the issues that have happened in the past year. Probably the best value of the last 12 months easily when you're talking about the price on that device. When you have the battery life, which has mostly been sorted. There were some issues at first on Android 13 when the full release came out, which was very confusing. But with the update between September and now October, they seem to have put a lid on the mobile network drain. I'm not getting the network drain that I was previously. It's a lot better experience with that. So the October, if the September patch didn't work for you, which a lot of people didn't, you were still getting issues with battery drain and battery life in the September patch, then go ahead and check out that October patch, because I think it will help you quite a bit more as it has me. This has been off the charger all day. I didn't do anything on it just to make sure to see what was going on. And you're talking 12-ish hours now, and you're looking at 93% down 7% in that 12 hours. So that's pretty good compared to what was happening previously. So while it was a rocky start, then they kind of got to the Android 13 beta, and that was kind of the height. I used it for 3 months solid. No issues with that. And then, of course, on the Android 13 release, there were some new issues that cropped up and old issues that cropped back up, which was the frustrating part of the Google experience as well. And I noticed this on my Pixel 4, is that when things are solved, even things that were solved in Android 12, they seem to pop back up in later versions. It's almost like they take away whatever they used to fix the problem from the previous version in the new version. So I found repeat problems coming through. But when it works well, this is the best deal in new flagships when you sit down and think about it, and you're absolutely fair. And you have to be fair when it comes to this device. And there's a lot of questions. A lot of people ask me, should I be picking up a Pixel 6 now, given the fact that the 7 has remained at the same price? If I want something budget, if you want a good deal on these could be had for near $300 a little bit over that, if you're able to pick one of these up for that price, you absolutely do it. You absolutely do it because it's in a position now, even with the flaws that it has, to be that great of an experience. You're going to get a lot of the stuff that previously you would not have gotten. And that's why I told people in the last couple of years to hold off on Google devices that weren't Tensor, like last year's Pixel 5a, like the Pixel 5 last year. If you weren't getting that later in the year, you were going to be missing out on the Tensor-specific stuff that I think is coming. And some of these new features that they have coming through to the Google Pixel 7 this year and that they'll release in the future, I'm sure are going to be much better optimized for Tensor and that architecture than they will for any of the old Snapdragon stuff. It just makes sense. It just makes sense that they'd be working on their hardware, their chipset, and doing a better job with it. But if you have to tell me that you were going to give me this phone today, okay? You were going to give me a Pixel 6 today and tell me I have to use a Pixel 6 for the next 2 years in the state it is now. If I were to completely forget everything, if I didn't have it on launch, if you picked up your phone, let's say in March and April, your Pixel 6, what is the state of the Pixel today? If you gave it to me, I'd take it, I'd say thank you, I'd use it, and I'd love it. Because there's a lot to like here. In fact, Google is sending the Pixel 7 Pro, and I'm a little disappointed because I'm going to miss my flat edges on my flat display. I'm going to miss the slightly smaller size, the just under 6.4-inch display. I love it in the hand. It feels phenomenal. The build quality is the best that they've done. I think it's a unique design. It's an interesting design. I like the design. I like the fact that they went for a design that's either love it or hate it. That's what they needed to do. But overall, and for as much as we joke about Pixel, this is a good phone. This is a phone that you should have. You're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of this phone for years to come. And Pixel's important. That's the other thing. You know, we poke a lot of fun at Pixel, and I give them a lot of grief here when it's necessary, when it's deserved, because it's partly because of frustration. We want them to do well. There isn't going to be anybody else for a while coming out there and really challenging Samsung and Apple. Samsung now gets to be the boring company of Android. They get to be somebody that just releases device. The most interesting stuff they're going to do is foldables, which is its own thing, but it's not taking really big swings feature-wise or software-wise, and One UI is going to be as boring and as milquetoast as you could possibly get for the next few years. And that's because nobody's challenging them here in the United States. There's nobody really pushing. Apple the same way. They get to do the same thing, and their thing is reliability, and that's what Samsung's saying now. They want to be reliable, the safe bet when it comes to Android. Pixel gets to take swings. There's no LG. OnePlus has to find itself again, find an identity for itself. Motorola and Nokia are lost in the woods somewhere. If you want something outside of the box, if you want unique thinking and different features that take chances and things, and design chances, Pixel is where you're going to have to be for the foreseeable future. And that there's some growing pains that go with that. And that's why, you give them a little bit of credit, because there are going to be, if you take chances with different feature sets, as Apple's finding out with iOS 16 this year, it's not so easy when you're adding a lot of new stuff. Stuff breaks. Stuff doesn't play well with one another. That's what Google, I think, had to deal with a little bit. Now, does that matter? You paid your $600. It should work. It doesn't matter. But we could be smart enough to do both, right? We could be smart enough to give them the criticism when something doesn't work because you did pay your money and it should work, but also to highlight the fact that if you want something different, if you want a company that's trying a little bit more in terms of a whole experience when it comes to the Pixel experience and something that's going to be value added with their software, Pixel's the only game in town on the Android side, at least for the near future. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.